Hello, welcome to Heroes for Sale, episode 5. It's hotter than July out there, and it's certainly hot enough to melt plastic. And plastic crack is what we're going to be talking about today. We've got David Ross back on, who, amongst other things, is an avid collector of collectible action figures, an appraiser of people's collections, and also a dealer. And this week there's been quite a lot of movement in action figure news, hasn't there, Dave?
There has. We've actually got some news this week, haven't we? San Diego Comic-Con stuff.
Yeah, because last week we talked a lot about the culture of collecting.
We did. We touched on
what
it.
you need to get into for all that. And nostalgia, which
Yeah,
also seems to be a big driving force of the San
the
Diego Comic-Con news.
Well, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, because what we're talking about really is also the Hasbro. There's a whole range of different people, as we've got in front of us here. The first thing we were going to talk about was the Ant Man release.
Yeah, Hasbro have announced the smallest Ant Man that they've ever made, half the size of the next smallest one that they've ever made.
How big's that?
I'd say he's going to, well, the smallest one I've ever seen must be about an inch. So this one, about half an inch. And he's going to come in a matchbox style packaging, which sounds nice. And that's we've got a price point on that, it's going to be $10.
Yeah, which is pretty good, isn't it, for a collectible from Comic-Con? How many roughly will there be?
It doesn't say, there's no news on that. But it's not a bad deal. I think what you're paying for there is the packaging, because obviously the guy is so small.
Yeah.
And also we're getting a collector's 5-pack with that same little Ant Man in there, and that's going to have some nice collector's packaging, and that's going to have some of the Marvel Legends bigger figures in there.
So we get like a larger than life Ant Man.
Yeah, we're going to get a giant man, a normal size one. I think there's one with a lab coat on as well. Yeah. Looks a nice pack. It's going to be very similar to the Thunderbolts one that came out a couple of years ago.
There's lots of little pieces coming out there, isn't there, which is nice to add to people's collections, because obviously we're getting a whole range of different things, and standard 6-inch really for an action figure, isn't it?
Yeah, 6-inch or 4-inch.
But the other big little characters are Lego minifigures. People love Lego minifigures right now, don't they? Oh, yeah. And we've seen an exciting reveal this week of like a Superman set.
Yeah, it's Action Comics #1 from 1938, and it's a 145-piece set. That's going to retail for $39.99, so not too bad. A little bit higher than what you'd normally pay for a Lego set, but it's a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, so it's to be expected. Yeah,
so and you can put it all together, and presumably Soups is going to be strong enough to throw the car.
Exactly, yeah. Soups, yeah, it's just the actual front cover, isn't it, from Action Comics #1. Yeah, recreated in Lego form.
A must have for any Superman fan.
Yeah, and Lego fan, I should imagine. Yeah, it's a really nice piece.
Because if you can't afford to get the comic, which goes in excess of millions of dollars for a pristine,
you can have this 3D version of it. Sitting on your shelf.
Cool. And then I think bringing it back to home, because obviously we've known each other for a long time now, haven't we? Since we were about 14. I know you've always had a strong mask collection. Yeah. And that's also been revealed as having a bit of a resurgence.
Well, what's happened is Hasbro have renewed the rights, the merchandise rights. So they haven't actually announced anything coming out, but with it being the 30th anniversary, we're thinking that we're going to get some new mask stuff this year with them renewing the merchandising rights. But they haven't just, what's weird is they haven't just renewed the merchandising rights for the toys, they've renewed the merchandising rights for everything, games, stationery, the whole works.
Well, you need a mask pencil case, don't you?
Everyone needs one. So, but we brought in this matte tracker from 2008. This is what Hasbro gave us, as I said, in 2008. Now, this is the only thing that mask collectors have had.
Hold that up so we can capture that on one of the...
There he is, matte tracker with his little Spectrum mask. Like I say, since 2008, this is all we've had since 1985. That's all we're getting. So I think the mask faithful. We're waiting with bated breath to see what comes out.
It hasn't been officially released what they're going to put out.
No,
but they expect the whole line.
Yeah, well, they've renewed the merchandising rights, so something's in the pipeline. And there's been rumours that what we're actually going to get is all the characters that they did with the vehicles in G.I. Joe size.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, it'll be fantastic.
And, keeping it in the 80s as well, I know you're excited about the Masters of the Universe release this week. It's going to be coming out for SDCC, isn't it?
Yeah, a bit of a strange one. The retro action figures that have been so popular lately, they're bringing out what they're saying is a prototype set. So what these figures would have looked like in the 1970s, if you can imagine, because obviously Masters Universe is a 1980s toy line, but they're doing them like a 1970s set. So they're unpainted prototype
like a throwback, like a prequel figure.
Yeah, like you say, nostalgia seems to be the theme for San Diego this year. But what's really strange is that they're giving away a Skelly token, which is a little token with Skeletor's face on it. Yeah. And you've got to go to the booth, you've got to pick up one of these tokens, and then you can make your way to, I think it's like a miniature Castle Grayskull that's going to be set up. You can go inside and barter with your token for that set. But you can only get it if you get the token.
Okay, because we went to San Diego a couple of years ago,
We did.
which was quite an adventure, wasn't it?
It was.
And I think you were saying earlier on that to get one of these Skelly tokens, you might be more keen to just keep hold of that.
Well, it's yeah. Well, for me personally, yeah, I like the token more than the figures, but that's just me. But what's intriguing about this is, do you remember when we went and we had to queue up for ages, didn't we? We had to wait, didn't we, to get the...
Yeah, and it was a certain amount of people at a certain time that you could go.
It was
in and
very
grab your
hard to
swag.
get, wasn't it, to get the tokens, and that was from the Hasbro booth. So I can imagine these being quite hard to get hold of.
Yeah. Okay, well, you've got these are more must-have swag, but something that I thought was pretty cool is the actual Gentle Giant releases that are spotted this week. And amongst other things for Star Wars, which you've obviously filled us in last show, is a real big deal for collectors and everything. They're bringing out a giant R2-D2, aren't they, and Boba Fett.
Yeah, they're going to be from the Droids line, so they're going to come in the Droids packaging, and they're going to come with a collector's coin. Jumbo stuff seems to be really big. Gentle Giant didn't have much to show last year, but this year they seem to be going strong. We've got the 12-inch Star Wars figures, which we said. We're getting the Boba Fett, we're getting the Droids, R2-D2, and they're going to come in clamshell packaging like this that you can reopen. That's Dengar, obviously. He's been taking out the packaging, but that's what it's going to be like.
You can put him back in and keep them all nicely sealed.
You can reseal them. I wish more people would do that. It's a really good idea for collectors, that.
Yeah.
So we can get our toys out and have a little play.
So we're going to have a giant R2-D2.
Giant
which
R2,
looks really
giant
stylized.
Yeah, he just looks like he does in from the Droids cartoon and the figure line we got back in the 80s.
Yeah. And your sweet spot is the G.I. Joes, isn't it?
Yeah,
I've spotted a G.I. Joe release.
Well, yeah, Gentle Giants seem to be going strong. So we've got the Star Wars, we've got the G.I. Joe. And what's also very interesting, which you're going to be excited about, is we're getting a 12-inch Deadpool, mate. Deadpool, mate. Yeah, Deadpool. 12-inch Deadpool. But what they're doing is they're doing it in the Secret Wars style. So we have a little Secret Wars figure here. Yeah. This is our Spider-Man figure. So basically, we're going to get a Deadpool in 12-inch.
Yeah, the classic, the very first Marvel figures to come out.
One of the first,
There's the Migos, but it was the very first.
Yeah. But the 80s toy line, wasn't it? Secret Wars. We had Superpowers and we had Secret Wars, but the Marvel was the Secret Wars. And yeah, we're getting a 12-inch version of Deadpool in Secret Wars.
That's one thing that I'm going to want to be adding to my collection, certainly.
I think we've got a price point on that as well, haven't we? $99 that's going to be.
Great. Okay, well, that's the news from San Diego Comic-Con. And after coming up, we're going to have you next week, to talk about some more collectible items. And now we're going to go over to Ilan with his world of horror comics and horror time.
Hello again, horror fans, and welcome back to another look into the dark end of the comic spectrum. Today we're going to go way back to 2004 for Dark Horse Comics' release of The Nail. What's so special about The Nail? Well, what if I told you it was written by horror aficionado Rob Zombie? Who's Rob Zombie, I hear you ask? Well, disgusted, I'll respond that not only do you just disacknowledge his entire music career, but also the fact that he wrote and directed two of the greatest horror films of this millennium, House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects. Now, the storyline itself is centered around a no-holds-barred wrestler called The Nail, who, with his family and friends, tour around in a Winnebago fighting for money. Unfortunately, they cross paths with a monstrous, murderous, devil-worshipping biker gang who start picking them off one by one until The Nail rises to the challenge and fights back. The storyline itself is very 80s cinematic in nature, with huge nods to horror films like Wes Craven's Hills of Eyes. Except it's extremely graphic, extremely violent, gratuitous, there is some nudity, and quite a lot of F-bombs. So this is definitely for the more mature readers out there, although it is very entertaining regardless. Now you might be concerned, okay, Rob Zombie can write good songs and he can write good scripts for films, but can he write comics? Well, put all concerns aside, because for this he's actually teamed up with Steve Niles, writer and creator of 30 Days of Night, one of the greatest horror comics of all time. So straight away you know that this is in good hands. Okay, so it's going to be well written, but what about the artwork? Well, the content itself is really good, but more importantly, the front covers are actually all done by Simon Beasley. Simon Beasley as in one of the most collected comic cover artists of all time. So straight away, you've got the unholy trinity of Simon Beasley, Rob Zombie, and Steve Niles. This is an absolutely amazing package, so you really should go out there, hunt this down, and get it for your collection, because personally, I think that Dark Horse Comics nailed it.
Welcome back to Heroes for Sale. This is the part of the show that we like to call Between the Panels, where we talk about, amongst other things, comics and comic-related movies. And I've got with me Ilan Sheady, Liverpool talented illustrator from Uncle Frank Productions, and also Lewis Wright, a massive comic fan, a member of the Matchstick Men band, and also the manager at Liverpool One Odeon Cinema. So he's got well up to speed on all the movie stuff, aren't you, Lewis?
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. And also the comics. I mean, Secret Wars is kind of taking itself up a notch this week. I know the new issue's actually out.
Yeah.
As we go to air with the show. But how have you been finding the whole Secret Wars saga?
I've been enjoying it. It's sort of like, obviously they're regenerating the universe. For me, the battle world side of it and everything, it's got a very sort of battle royale feel, and it's very, and like the regions that it's split into as well, like is the whole thing with sort of very Hunger Games feel. So that it's kind of like they're taking a lot of the stories from previous films. But saying that, it is interesting, and it's nice to look at sort of a new versions of each characters as well.
Well, I think they've done. It's got a great cast of characters, Secret Wars, and obviously they keep bringing more in. And the writers, Jonathan Hickman, seems to be doing a great job of giving kind of like screen time to each individual character. And I don't think we're giving anything away by saying, obviously, we've had Spider-Man and also Miles Morales, Spidey, turn up in the last issue.
Yeah.
So it's a nice, and he obviously just comes out of nowhere in his black costume, which is a nice nod to the original Secret Wars. Where do you think it's going with this whole kind of reveal of the actual, the original Secret Wars, where they found the ships that the Beyonder brought them in?
Well, I think it's more the fact as well with the whole thing that they're trying to obviously keep some of the old characters in it, because obviously they've been kept in the ship, haven't they? And they remember everything that's previously happened. But the majority of characters, like there's obviously Stephen Strange who remembers as well. But there's other ones that don't know. They realise that Doom's God and things like that. They're just sort of brainwashed from this whole experience. But it's quite interesting that there's people out there that know what's going on in the universe itself.
It's going to give it a nice twist, isn't it? And obviously, Ilan, you read the first issue, you've kind of touched into it, and it took a while, you were saying, to kind of know what's going on, because each panel...
I still don't know what's going on. After reading the first issue, I kind of stepped back and I thought I'll wait until they've all been released, and then I can kind of take it all in one go, because the first one didn't make any sense to me at all. Like, there's characters turning up in one panel only, and I don't know what that means or in what context that's important. So I mean, does it make more sense now, or?
At the moment, no, because only a few issues into it. But there is a few sagas out there, as we've mentioned before. It's like the sort of individual stories of their own are really, really good. Like there was the Korvac saga, they're retelling that, and that is absolutely brilliant. It's really, really good. It's got Wonder Man in it. He's sort of taken the Michael Korvac sort of character. It's got the original Guardians of the Galaxy team with Vance Astro. And then there's the Secret Wars 2099.
Which you really enjoy.
Yeah, that is really, really good. It's like they're using the Avengers as sort of commercial propaganda, and Captain America, who's a lady, is standing there advertising Coke, stuff like that.
There's also a Battle World Marvel Zombies area, which is one of the sweet spot for you, isn't it?
Zombie.
Well, you love
I'm that
zombies.
shallow.
Zombies, give them to me. I thought that's what it was, wasn't you? Into
Oh no, totally. I mean,
you've been purporting yourself as our horror expert for weeks, and now you tell me you don't like zombies.
well, hang on. No, I love Marvel Zombies. I don't like necessarily how it evolved and where it went, but obviously kind of like the more zombies the better.
Yeah, they've got a chance to breathe some life into the Marvel Zombies. But I know you are also very excited for the Ant Man movie.
I am,
which is coming out next week.
Yeah, can't wait, and hopefully I'll get an opportunity to see it before anyone
Well,
else.
you never know.
But if only I knew somebody who worked at the Odeon.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of fan hype for this, isn't it? Because it had a very troubled production, didn't it? Obviously, Edgar Wright was signed onto it from the start, which I'd imagine you've been a film buff, we're excited about.
Yeah, definitely, with all his previous work, and even the sort of comic heads that Scott Pilgrim had in the actual visuals was really, really good. Yeah. So it's weird that the director's changed to somebody who hasn't really done this sort of thing before.
Yeah, it's Peyton Reed who's done a bit of TV, and then you were saying a few rom-coms.
Yeah, he's done The Breakup. He did Yes Man, and he's done Down with Love. So it's jumping into a superhero sort of franchise.
Maybe it's Marvel showing that they can kind of get the job done with a guy who's not got any. Well, he hasn't got a pedigree such as Kenneth Branagh with Thor 2. It's like, look, we can do it with anybody.
Yeah.
But I think the good thing what they're doing is effectively they're making it so my expectations are really low. Well, in a nice, in a good way. I don't have any expectations. So when I go to see it, knew that was going to happen.
You always break down the figures.
My expectations are kind of. It might work, it might not work. But with things like the Avengers, you expect to see a huge movie. With this one, I don't know what I'm going to watch, what I'm going to see. Is it going to be good? I don't mind if it's. So, yeah, I think it's a good idea. So you can kind of start from the bottom and build its way up rather than.
It's always the best way with a film, isn't it? Is to go in not expecting too much, and then you are pleasantly surprised. But I think we've had a little tease as to what the end credit scene is going to be, which is going to set up the Civil War movie. So that's quite exciting as well.
Stop. Wait a minute. Yes, Heroes for Sale are pleased to give you the chance to win tickets to see Ant Man at the Odeon Liverpool 1. Please visit purplerevolver.com to find all the details and answer an incredibly shrinking hero-related question. Good luck.
So yeah, that's a nice little plug for the movie coming out there. I think we've done enough for Ant-Man. But in other movie news, something exciting as well is Ghostbusters 3 reveal. We've had the new costumes come out this week, which it cheered me up because there's been again mixed fan expectation for this movie. With the girls, but I know you share my view that it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, it's good. It's nice that it is girls because they've got to be for the originals. Obviously, someone to replace like Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd, people like that. It's they've got to be good, strong comedians. But
very large boots to fill.
Yeah, exactly. But it's nice that they've gone the opposite sort of angle and gone for the sort of Melissa McCarthy and things like that.
Let's not even try to beat the originals.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, let's go a different direction, which I'm quite pleased about.
Yeah, again, put another spin on it because you can actually then take. I know they've announced other films that are going to come out and follow the reboot of the franchise, so you can follow the women up with a set of Ghostbusters in Philadelphia or down in Florida or something. But the costumes, they look great, don't they? It's got the same colour as Ghostbusters 2, and they've got these nice little orange Go Faster stripes on. I think it's going to be an exciting one.
Definitely.
But yeah, so Ghostbusters 3, and any other thoughts you've got on Ghostbusters 3?
Well, obviously, I found out that Thor's going to be in it. Well, it's not Thor, but Chris Hemsworth's going to be in it, which I thought was the problem. My concerns with the male Ghostbusters is that obviously they're going to be making it into some sort of like Magic Mike of a Ghostbusters film where it's all kind of really good-looking men kind of in it. But then you told me that he's not playing a Ghostbuster.
He's the secretary.
He's playing Janine.
Yeah.
That's ace. I kind of don't mind that.
Yeah,
I don't know what to expect from that again.
You'd like
expectations lowered again.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks, guys.
But you'd like to think there'd be a little nod to the scenes with Janine. And,
brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, something I'd like to bring up is the new Batman game. Because, I personally haven't played yet, but in my office, everyone's coming in saying what's happening. And Batman in this game drives the Batmobile tank thing, and he fires missiles in it. Now, I have issues with this purely because, Batman firstly doesn't like shooting guns. It's kind of well established that Batman's not a gun-shooting person.
No, he doesn't like them for obvious reasons.
Yes. Now, where he defines a gun, I question, because a tank that fires missiles is surely breaking the rules, his own rules there, I think. And on top of that, collateral damage. Does he not care about collateral damage anymore at all?
It must be quite hard to design a computer game where you can't shoot guns, though, isn't it? Or missiles of some description.
But this is Batman. Though it's Batman. This is Batman. This is something that we talked about before, kind of behind camera kind of thing, where, for me, Batman is a detective. He's the world's greatest detective. And that's never come across in any of the films. In the games, they've kind of touched on it, thankfully, because of Batman Origins. But now he's literally gone action hero. He's gone Chuck Norris on it, and he's going around shooting missiles from a tank. I don't approve.
No, I agree with you. But the only time you ever seen him doing any sort of a detective work was in the '60s series. It was always focused and that sort of thing. And you haven't seen it in the movies.
Which is still a definitive Batman for many, many people, isn't it? Although obviously not a popular one with the strict comic readers that have the other picture of him. And then also going back to movies is the new Terminator film's come out. Obviously Arnie's on board. Yeah. Said he loved the script so much that he just had to do it. Have you? That's basically what he said.
Because he was doing so much.
Maybe
Otherwise,
he's hearing meerkat voices in his head or something. Have you heard any good or bad things about the Terminator movie?
It's meant to look visually fantastic. I still haven't heard any sort of reviews about it, but it's meant to be like in IMAX 3D. It's meant to be like visually stunning. So and to be honest, it's a little bit better than the is it Terminator Salvation, where he was in that young. The CGI was a little bit risque. It was just it was not very good for how much budget was in.
Yeah, well, that's something to look forward to, isn't it?
Yeah, I would have seen the film, but I was waiting for the Odeon to invite me. It just didn't happen, unfortunately.
Yes, we must point out here that we've had no monetary spares on for Ilan's call to buy tickets at a certain cinema. But please do join us again next time on Heroes for Sale, where we'll be talking about all kinds of geeky and comic-related culture.
Hey you! Yes, you at home. Would you like to get involved with Heroes for Sale? We're always on the lookout for like-minded geeks to get involved with the show. Do you have a comics or counterculture event you'd like us to cover? Perhaps you'd like your collection of comics, action figures or collectibles appraised by one of our experts. Or you could be well on your way to becoming a world champion cosplay artist. Whatever it is, we're keen for you to get in touch, and we're looking for people to get involved behind the camera. You can email us here at Purple Revolver using this email address, shots@purplerevolver.com.
Heroes for Sale!
For extra videos, you can check us out online. Search YouTube, Heroes for Sale, Liverpool.
Who shot ya?